What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to M2H Mental Health Academy. I am your host, Royalty, and today we're going to be talking about something that millions of men experience, but very few talk about, and that's anxiety. So before we get started, be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow this podcast, follow this channel, as this is what we do. We love to talk mental health. We love to bring awareness to it, and we shine light on men's health. Just something that we just feel is not spoken of enough. It's not a conversation that a lot of men have, and we just want you to know that it's okay. You have that support and you have somebody. So let's jump right into it. And that's the truth about anxiety in men. So what we have to understand is anxiety it's not just feeling nervous before a big presentation. It's not just worrying about paying bills. I'm talking about like constant pressure, racing thoughts, the feelings that you can never truly relax. That's not just what anxiety is. Here is a little bit of truth for you. Anxiety does not always look like panic attacks. Sometimes it looks like overthinking. Sometimes it looks like perfectionism. Sometimes it looks like always being busy because slowing down means facing what's really going on inside.
Time for tea
And I'm
time.
victim of that. That's why I wanted to bring this conversation forward, not only for you, but for me myself. Being a victim of perfectionism, being a victim of overthinking, being a victim of anxiety. It's a real thing, but also had to create the awareness and understanding of what does that anxiety look like? And more specifically, what does that anxiety look like in men? If you've ever felt like your mind won't shut off, come to the right place. This is the episode for you. So, what is anxiety? Anxiety is your body's natural response to stress or perceived danger. So, in the right situation, it's actually helpful. It can keep you alert. It can keep you focused. It can keep you prepared. But when anxiety becomes constant, that's when your body acts like there's always a threat. And that can begin to affect your work. It can begin to affect your relationships, your sleep, and ultimately just overall affect your health in general. Many men don't realize they're living in what we would call a survival mode. They think this is just who I am. But constantly feeling on edge isn't something that it's not something that you simply have to accept. It's just something that you need to become aware of so that you can start to implement the change. But we have to understand why we hide it first. Why do men hide their anxiety? So many men have been taught to solve problems and not necessarily talk about them. So instead of saying, I'm overwhelmed, we say, I'm just tired. Instead of admitting that we're anxious, we bury ourselves in work. We distract ourselves. We convince ourselves that it'll pass. And the problem is what we decide to avoid, it doesn't disappear. What we decide to avoid, it often grows, and that's when it snowballs and it grows into these overthinking scenarios. It grows into the panic attacks. It grows into the feeling of danger, being on edge. So we must understand the 5 signs of anxiety that may be affecting us. Because truth be told, how do we implement change in something that we're not aware of? And that's what I want to help you today. I want to help you identify signs within yourself that you may be a victim of constant anxiety. Anxiety exists in all of us, but are you a victim of constant anxiety, or are you even aware of the anxiety that you may be going through? So sign 1 is your mind never stops. You constantly replay conversations. You think about worst case scenarios. You question every decision. I mean, even when life is going well, your brain keeps searching for the next problem. If you're a victim of that, comment down below and let me know. Comment the word exhausting, because I know it's exhausting. Being a victim of, that overthinking, that's just me. That was me, always replaying the conversations, always thinking about scenarios, questioning every decision, especially when I'm being bombarded with questions. Instantly, my mind starts going, looking for the problem or the danger in the situation. It's exhausting. So that's the first sign. If you find yourself in a situation where your mind never stops, you may be affected by anxiety or constant anxiety. Sign number 2 is you just can't relax. You're sitting on the couch, but your mind is still at work. You're with the family, but you're thinking about tomorrow. You finally get a day off of work, and somehow you still can't enjoy it. Your body may be resting, but your mind never clocks out. You're living in your brain. You're living in your head. You're constantly wondering what to do. I'm not doing something now. I should be doing something. These are all signs that I've recognized within myself. And I'm hoping that these can reach out to help someone else. You just can't seem to relax. So sign number 1 is your mind never stops. Sign number 2 is you can't seem to relax. Sign number 3 becomes physical symptoms. Sign number 3 is where we start to understand that anxiety is not just a mental thing. It can show up physically. Anxiety shows up as headaches. It shows up as muscle tension. It shows up as chest tightness. It shows up as an upset stomach, difficulty sleeping, most commonly a racing heart. Many men treat these symptoms without realizing anxiety could be contributing to them. A headache is not always the call for ibuprofen or a Tylenol. Muscle tension is not always calling for a massage, for yoga, for sleep. Chest tightness is one that you must always pay attention to, as that may be a sign of something internal with the heart. Physical symptoms: upset stomach. Anxiety is tied in with the nerves, which always produce some type of stomach issue. And most importantly is difficulty sleeping, because you just can't shut it off. Constantly thinking, constantly worrying, not able to relax. It evolves, it snowballs into physical symptoms. So if you're affected by any of these symptoms, you may need to look into anxiety in your life and how it may be affecting you. So sign number 1, your mind never stops. Sign number 2, you can't relax. Sign number 3, physical symptoms: headaches, muscle tension, chest tightness, upset stomach, difficulty sleeping, racing heart. Sign number 4, we start to avoid things. Sometimes anxiety convinces us not to try. It convinces us not to speak up, not to apply for a promotion, not to start whatever business we want, not to have that difficult conversation. What avoidance does for us is it brings a temporary relief, but it also contributes to a long-term regret. So we can't avoid things. We have to step up in these uncomfortable situations. We have to speak up. We have to apply ourselves. We have to start somewhere. We have to communicate. We have to have these difficult conversations in order to move past things, to allow for anxiety to release from inside of us, to allow for us to regulate, to allow for us to find balance. There are so many men living today with so many regrets from conversations they didn't have, from moves they didn't make, from steps they didn't take, because anxiety prevented you. It caused you to avoid things. That's sign number 4. Start to avoid things. So let's just recap things before we get into sign number 5. Sign number 1, your mind never stops. Sign number 2, you can't relax. Sign number 3, physical symptoms, headaches, muscle tension, chest tightness, upset stomach, difficulty sleeping, racing heart. Sign number 4, we start to avoid things. We're just not applying ourselves and being the best version of ourselves that we can be. Instead, we are cutting ourselves short. We're retaining ourselves, which brings along long-term regret. And then sign number 5, you feel like you have to control everything. See, that's what we don't understand, is that anxiety often creates the illusion that if everything is perfect, nothing bad can happen. So we have a illusion in our mind of what that perfection looks like. And we try to step forward and control it. We start to overplan. We start to overwork. We start to overthink. But then what happens? Life doesn't go according to the plan that we are setting out. So now we start to feel overwhelmed. See how it doesn't work out? Anxiety, we want to avoid the anxiety so much that we bombard ourselves with so many things to do that we may sense and deem these things as being very productive, very proactive. But truthfully, we're just avoiding. Truthfully, we're just running from correction of self. And what happens is it all just gets stuffed. And that's where the overwhelming feelings develop. Because we have not released. We're still holding on to, and we're piling things on top of what we're already going through and what we're already feeling. All because we think that we're in control when we're really not. To be in control is to communicate. To be in control is to be aware. To be in control is to be present. To be in control is to create positive change in regard to negative action, negative responses, negative decisions. So when life is not going according to plan, we need to reset. We need to reevaluate. We need to regroup so that we can understand, where did I go wrong? So before we move forward, I want to review those signs one more time. 5 signs that anxiety may be affecting you. Sign number 1, your mind never stops. Sign number 2, you can't relax. Sign number 3, the physical symptoms. Sign number 4, we begin to avoid things. And sign number 5, we feel like we have to control everything. But we hear you, T, is be present, be grounded, be aware of what? Of what anxiety is trying to tell us. Instead of asking, what is wrong with me? Try asking, what is my anxiety trying to protect me from? Instead of asking, what is wrong with me? We must understand that sometimes anxiety is pointing us toward unresolved stress, burnout, past experiences, the fear of failure, the fear of disappointing others. Understanding the message doesn't mean that we're giving anxiety control. It means that we're becoming curious before things get critical. So let's change the perspective of what is wrong with me to what is my anxiety trying to protect me from? What do I need to be more aware of right now? What should I be learning in this situation that I'm currently going through? These are questions that will help you get understanding before you allow your life to derail, before things become critical. So, how do we manage? When things do get there, how do we manage that anxiety? If anxiety has been affecting your life, here are a few places that you can start. Just practical tools for managing that anxiety. One that works really, really well for me is pausing before reacting. Taking time to understand what's happening before giving a response. Take slow, intentional breaths when you notice that your body is becoming tense. A lot of people, throw out like, I do breathing work, I do breathing techniques. But there's a art and a science to it as well. Take slow, intentional breaths when you notice that you are becoming tense. Move your body every day. I promote and influence people to do some kind of workout, whether it's a walk, whether it's yoga, small calisthenics in the house, anything. Just move your body every day. Even a short walk can help, because these different things that we choose to do in our life, they are forms of release. And we need to release that tension from our body. And if we take time to move every day, we're taking time to release some of that tension every single day. We must limit things that increase our stress. If you notice that something is making your anxiety worse, limit yourself from it. If not, just getting it out your life completely. Talk to somebody you trust. It's always good to have a support circle, or at least a support person. Someone that you can be vulnerable with, someone that understands that you're not always in need of advice, but sometimes you're just in need of an ear. Talk to somebody you trust. Journal your thoughts instead of carrying them all day. I write a lot. Whether that writing is in music or whether that writing is journaling, spoken word, poetry, just getting it out. I journal my thoughts. That helps a lot, so that's another one that I want to tell you, journal your thoughts instead of carrying that stuff all day. You're not a computer. You can't just stuff stuff in a file and it doesn't bother you. Just because you stuff it does not mean that it's not there. It's still there, but you have to find ways to release it. You got to find ways to get it out. And if anxiety is interfering with your daily life, don't hesitate to reach out to a licensed mental health professional, because support is always available and you do not have to face things alone. I know we tend to think that we have to face things alone because we were taught to be strong. We were taught that we have to solve things. But you're not in it by yourself. And if you need somebody, you can always reach out here. Mental health, we're always here to support. That's what we do. We are helping build, stronger men for our stronger families, to help build stronger communities. So never hesitate to reach out to anybody with profession that can provide professional help, or anybody that you are super close with that you can trust. But you got to communicate. Can't keep bottling in our feelings and emotions. Got to be vulnerable, find that safe space, and release. So here's what I want every man watching this to remember. Having anxiety does not mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. And strength is not pretending that everything is okay. Strength is recognizing when something needs attention and taking healthy steps toward change. Healing begins with awareness, and growth begins with action. And peace begins when we stop fighting ourselves. A lot of us are losing the battle that we're having with ourselves. And we need to stop. Find peace within yourself, not conflict. If this conversation spoke to you, make sure you like this video and subscribe to TTimeTV. Be sure to share the M2H Academy playlist to someone that you may know. Share it with a brother. Share it with a father, a son, a friend, a sports organization. You never know who may be carrying anxiety in silence, who may need to hear this message. And I would also like to hear from you. So be sure to comment down below, shoot me a DM, shoot me an email, and let's see if you have some answers. Some answers to questions like, what's one healthy habit that helps you manage stress and anxiety? Comment below, let me know. What are some things that you do to find peace within yourself? Comment down below, let me know. Reach out, let's have a conversation about it. But until next time, protect your peace, prioritize your health, invest in yourself. Because when men heal, families become stronger, communities become healthier, and generations are changed. I want to thank you for vibing with TTimeTV. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and come back as we will continue with this series, M2H Academy. Always remember, positive energy always creates elevation. Peace. Love. Continue to elevate.
It's time for tea time.
We out.